Welcome. So let's talk probiotics and prebiotics. I think it's important that this is a continuing conversation because the more research that comes out, the more marketing that comes out, it's going to continue to drive some, for lack of a better word, some confusion into the marketplace and as well into the benefits, the clinical benefits that we want to get from probiotics. So just to take a look at the science of it, there are over 32,000 publications that have been reported on probiotics. And around 2,700 of those have been clinical studies, and there are over 700 double-blind, well-performed clinical studies on probiotics. And the important piece to this is we know there are benefits, and yet many people that either try probiotics, they might be healthy, they might be dealing with an issue, and they don't get resolution from this. And so it leaves us with this conundrum of, do they work, do they not work, and when do they work and when don't they work? Let's talk about that. So probiotics come in a lot of flavors, and let's break that down. So probiotics have what we call a strain, so a genus, a species, and a strain. So you might have Lactobacillus acidophilus with a strain number that says CO1. That is a very, very specific strain. And to make an analogy, it would be like a toy poodle is part of the canine family, but it is a very specific version of the canine family or the dogs. And you know, we can make that analogy through many animal models. But it is very specific. And probiotics, although their names look very similar, in fact, their names are quite confusing in many ways, that familiarity of just keep in mind that the genus, species, and strain each have a very, very different biological function as a probiotic or as a microorganism that we ingest. These benefits range. You'll see a number of different lactobacilli, you'll see bifidobacteria, and then what the research we do in our lab is all about what we call next generation probiotics. These probiotics go by very different names. These are what we call commensal or symbiotic microorganisms that we start to develop immediately after birth. And of course, they evolve through different phases of our lives, but these are organisms that we have a relationship with. We gain all the benefits, the protection, the metabolic functions, the neurological functions, everything we love about this microbiome world, and me in particular, I can't speak enough about microbes in general. This is the level of research we're moving from what we call probiotics that were found through fermentation processes like yogurt, kimchi, miso, kefirs, all these associations we've had with microorganisms over the millennia, really. These are where our initial probiotics come from, and they do offer a benefit, but they are very different from microorganisms that live and are designed to inhabit us forever, or as long as we need them. The other version of that, coming out of the dairy and other areas, these are things, or ferments, the fermented food world, these are what we call transient probiotics. They absolutely offer benefits, and I've probably spoken to this before. Even the transient nature of these, they help forage, they help create metabolites that feed our microbiota, they help stimulate a healthier ecology, they may help compete with the space in our intestines, both small, large, and so on. They help potentially regain some of our normal flora, or at least make the environment better for the ecology of normal flora. But the second gen probiotics, which you'll start seeing more and more and likely get some misinformation about, these are where we're focusing our research efforts, because we absolutely understand a lot of the science of the existing probiotics, and we of course utilize these existing probiotics, but we also understand the limitations of them as they're transient. So we're moving towards a more unique model, looking at what our body needs in terms of the next generation probiotics, and these become actual inhabitants of our bodies, and they provide us essential nutrients, essential competition, essential protection, essential immunological education. This is the probiotic world. And there'll be many, many opportunities to get into this and deep dive. Now let's add to this prebiotics, because again, this is a term that gets used in many different ways. You see it everywhere from foods to drinks to cosmetics and supplements. It's a term used across the board. Oftentimes it is a very misused term. So the scientific community, or the probiotic community, or microbiome community, has tried to start using what we call microbial accessible polysaccharides. This changes it from just a prebiotic, which the definition is it is a compound, a plant compound that feeds the microbes that we are ingesting, or feeds the microbes that we have inside of us. And that helps deliver food to them, mostly in the form of what we consider fibers, oligosaccharides, polysaccharides, and so on. These microbial accessible polysaccharides are very important in our diet. I mean, it is in the Western diet and in processed foods, these are very different polysaccharides. These are like mono and disaccharides, essentially sugars, and they're feeding the wrong bugs, which means we're driving the growth of the wrong organisms. But prebiotics, or these polysaccharides, are every bit as important as the probiotics and the organisms we want living in there, because they do directly feed these organisms. And if we do not consume the proper, diverse amount of these compounds, we literally lose these organisms. They will become extinct because they are not being fed. They will be outcompeted by another organism, potentially even a pathogen. So these are really critical concepts of probiotics and prebiotics, but there are a lot of misinformation surrounding them, and we really want to tackle that. And as we move towards next generation probiotics and next generation prebiotics, this will really change the dynamic for both researchers, clinicians, and then the public at large when this information is properly disseminated regarding probiotics, prebiotics, and then you're going to get new terms like symbiotics, postbiotics. And the cool thing about this, by knowing and learning more about these probiotics and prebiotics and next generation pros and pres, we can start to personalize each and every condition. Your approach to something like SIBO would be personal as opposed to just generic. Your approach to IBS, IBD, or anxiety, depression, these are all very much linked to this microbiome. And yet, with this new data coming out, both from the at-large research, from academia and other countries, we can help drive our intellectual research to get a better fit into this world. And always, this is the Dr. Shayne and information only, but I am affiliated with Alimentum Systemic. So if you want to learn more, you can tune into the events that we offer on that side at any time. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that you guys all tune in again, because we'll keep offering more. Thanks.